I find it very hard to believe that we only have 2 episodes of Delicious in Dungeon yet. Hey, it's Romania Black, and I'm currently in denial of that. I've been holding off. This episode is supposed to come out tomorrow on Patreon, and I've been holding off until the very last minute because I just don't want this to be over. And I found out, if you watched my May update video that's on the channel now, I found out that I have been telling you all the past several weeks being like, oh, well, Dungeon Meshi's over for now, but in November it's going to come right back and it'll be great. And then I found out that was fake news. I swear, around the time I was filming the reaction to episode 8 or 9, around that time, I looked up being like, because people were talking about season 2, and I was like, okay, when does season 2 come out? And I looked it up, and it literally said November 2025, and I was like, okay, and I don't go into too much depth in the research because I didn't want to be spoiled, so I saw a very generic, like, oh, okay, maybe it was AI that told me, maybe it was something else, I don't know, but I saw November 2025, and so I've been so excited for season 2 to come out later this year. And then I get onto Discord last week and was like, I'm so excited. And everybody was like, where did you hear November 2025? They haven't confirmed any dates for season 2 yet. Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess maybe in 2025, maybe 2026, probably 2026 at the latest. But I was just like, what do you mean? So I've been super bummed this week because I was so excited that I wasn't going to have a very long wait. And now I've got a longer wait, which, look, I'm not going to read the manga only because the anime is going to come out probably this year or next year. So I'm not going to ruin spoiling myself on the anime when it's going to come out within 365 days. So I'm not going to do that, but it's going to suck having to wait. It's really going to have to suck. The only thing is, if I do want to do any extra leftover recipes from like the last couple episodes, like I showed my brother the pancake video from episode 22 tonight, and he was so disappointed. He was like, what did you do? And I was like, so I may have used almond milk. And he just like rose out of the chair and was like, well, there's your problem. And I was like, he was not sympathetic to the cause at all. Although I did ask him if he would be open to me making him an eggs Benedict. And he was like, if you don't substitute any ingredients out. And I was like, so yeah. So I'll probably do like one more Q&A before I'll probably do a Q&A after we finish episode 24, and then I'll probably do like at least a leftover of the eggs Benedict. And as I'm recording this the night before it's supposed to come out on Patreon, I'm obviously not cooking tonight, but if there's anything that is of recipe quality in this episode today, I will definitely be up for creating it in the leftover segment along with the eggs Benedict. So there's that. If you all are interested, hopefully you all are interested in that. But there has been a series selected to replace Dungeon Meshi or Delicious in Dungeon, at least for a little while. And that is over. It's going to be a video that's going to come up on my channel within the week. So look for that. But yeah, so I've got some comments to talk about before we dive into this final episode. Or the penultimate episode. Next week's the final of season 1. I'm not ready for it. So, Ricky Love 0317 for episode 21 says, the Grumpy Elf. I love that everybody's calling him the Grumpy Elf because we don't want to spoil. I really love that. Thank you all for doing that. The Grumpy Elf is actually voiced by Shigaraki's voice actor. Shigaraki's voice actor is, also, Tsukishima's voice actor from IQ, I'm pretty sure. And I think that he is also, isn't he, what's his face from Jujutsu Kaisen? Now I'm going to lose it. Maybe not. Anyway, so Shigaraki and Tsukishima for sure. Taurus 3359 for episode 21 says, if you go to a convention as Fallon, every Marcel you will meet will have to say, whoa, hey, to you. Now look, that's a reference to episode 17 when Fallon tears her shirt off and Marcel's English dub actress goes, whoa, hey, which I watched that English dub clip and it's hilarious. Here's the thing. 1, I am going to a convention later this month. 2, I am contemplating cosplaying as Fallon. And 3, one of the students that I coach on the speech team that I help coach, she actually went to a convention this last weekend dressed as Fallon. and can confirm. I asked her after I read this comment, I was like, hey, did anybody come up to you that was dressed as Marcel? And she goes, yeah. They were like, whoa, hey. And I was like, it actually happens. So now I'm super tempted to go as Fallon just so people will be like, whoa, hey, because that would be amazing. And she walked around with like a Marcel doll, which was cute. So it was great. But I'll have to see. I already have one idea for what I want to cosplay when I'm down there. So we'll see if Fallon works out or not. But my goal is, though, I told the girl on the team I coach, I want to draw a picture of Chilchuck, Laios, and SENSHI. I have an idea for it because the English dub actors for Laios, SENSHI, and Chilchuck are going to be at this convention. And so I kind of want to draw it. And then kind of like the image of Spike and Faye, I had their English dub actors sign that. I would really like to get them to sign it if I can. I don't know, but we'll see if that works out. I also kind of want to get something for the speech team kid to get signed, but we'll see. We'll see if that works out. We'll see if that gets worked out. But anyway, Makamu 12 for episode 21 says the conversation between the orc chief and Laios that SENSHI was referring to that you were asking about is, I believe, as follows. The orc chief was basically asking Laios what he plans on doing if he does conquer the dungeon, and he couldn't imagine Laios being a king. Laios proceeds to tell the orc chief that he promises to think seriously about it, although he proceeded to not do what he promised, because based off this episode, he doesn't even remember the conversation with the orc chief. But in his defense, a lot has happened since then. Yeah, I mean, Laios is not king material. But then again, and you all probably understand, most of the people in places of authority and reality and medieval fantasy and fiction aren't fit for the job. But they end up in that position anyway, so they just got to make sure they got a pretty damn good mage on the side for them. And obviously Thistle was there for Delgal perhaps, and Marcel could be there for Laios, so who knows? Maybe history will repeat itself. We'll see, except Marcel will be all about Fallon, not not Laios. And then finally, for episode 22, El Freya says, the humor never disappoints. This episode had so many great moments. 100% agree. The griffin is animated very nicely, fast and terrifying, and Laios thinks, how cool, juxtaposed with SENSHI losing his nerves for the first time. Marcel is just like, what is this chicken nugget junk food? I ordered KFC. Love it. Yeah, it was weird seeing SENSHI unnerved, like super weird. And then Laios playing God and making the ultimate monster, followed by its evolution, which Marcel promptly destroys to make the legendary skyfish. And the transition cut of poor Marcel holding her dead skyfish to Laios beheading it with SENSHI's cutting knife, it hits right in the guts. Literally. No, last episode 22 is probably one of the funniest episodes of the season. I love it so much. All of the stuff with Marcel and Laios is some of my favorite in the whole season. The whole thing with the familiars, I loved it so much. So I'm really excited to see what we get out of this episode. It's the penultimate episode, and we have this week and next week to set the stage for season 2. And I mean, we're in the lowest level we ever have been, and we just defeated a griffin. So it's like, what are we going to do now is the big question. So I'm pretty excited to see what we're going to get for this penultimate episode. So I got myself some ginger ale, which seemed appropriate. My dogs are at my feet. It was storming earlier, so I wanted to wait till the storm got through before I recorded, just to make sure there wasn't any issues. But I'm super excited. I hope you all are as well. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I can't wait to see what we're going to get, but we are going to start episode 23 of Delicious in Dungeon, aka Dungeon Meshi. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And I'll see you all on the other side. All right. It feels so weird. It doesn't feel like the penultimate episode, and I don't know what to make of it. I do appreciate, as I'm going to turn this sound down just a hair, I do appreciate the, like, eat or be eaten vibe of this OP, and, like, the whole circle of life cycle with the food and everything, except that the food becomes monsters, and I don't know how to feel about that. I like the mushroom has like Laios's handprint in it. And Laios going after the dog. Interesting. Is that like a sphinx or what is that? I love Chilchuk just carrying around the tentacle. Uh-huh. Interesting. And then they're all circling around the Tower of Souls. I still think this is a very dark OP that is masked as cuteness. I don't know, y'all. Oh, the little scarf making a bow on the back of a Sebi is really cute. Really super cute. Oh, and now Asebi's arm around Chilchuk. I kind of ship it a little bit. Yes, and she's backstory. Oh. Why would you instantly nail into the gold? I guess to chest it. Oh. Oh, don't doubt him. But are they going to die? Oh, look at his. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Was it like their greed? Oh, a dungeon. Like the avarice. Oh, shit. Oh, Senshi, honey. Okay. Poor Senshi. Look how he's such a little bean. Someone said there was like a Steven Universe connection in the Discord. I see it. Oh. Of course. Like the harpies. Oh my God. Oh my God. You gonna eat the horse? Ah. Oh, sweetheart. But he's a cook. Oof. Is there gonna be cannibalism up in this? Are we gonna get into cannibalism? Oh my God. Okay, but now are they gonna... Oh. Ooh. I don't like this. I thought for a second, like, are they... Uh-huh. Oh, shit. Not the horse! Oh, no wonder he's terrified about the griffin. Oh. Monsters are like that. Poor Senshi. And the horse. Now, what's with his deal? Is it the griffin or was he killing people? Only 36. Wow. Oh. Ooh. Poor Senshi. Poor SENSHI. Oh my god. Oh. Oh my god. Oh. Poor SENSHI. Oh my god. I like how they portray his body as... Oh. Oh. Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh. Oh my god, he killed him. Oh. Oh my god. But he's gonna make the soup out of the other dwarf. Oh. I don't think it is. Oh, but was it the griffin? But was it? Oh. Oh my god, no. You didn't eat a griffin, you ate the other dwarf. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. Holy shit. Did the cleaners already fix it? By the cleaners. Oh. Damn. Mm. Oh. Damn. And SENSHI getting back to normal. Wow. And the helmet. Oh. Yeah. Oh my god, SENSHI. Yeah. Yep. Oh my god. Nope. No. Because you didn't want to be proven. Yes, that you, if you ate Griffin or if you ate him. Oh. Holy shit. Oh my god, Lyos! We're Lyos! Oh my god! Well, it's a shame, but it won't plague him anymore. We don't claim him. How long has it been since then? Because his beard's grown out so much. Oh my god. Oh. They're like, Lyos, you're not fooling anybody. So, I mean, like, the slice through each of them was like a pickaxe. So, I mean, they did have a horse. Oh. Huh. Yeah. No. Yeah. Uh-huh. Don't know. Oh, yep. Oh, the Pegasus, yeah. Oh, and Roke. Or they each killed each other with the pickaxe, and since she was too naive and young to notice. Oh, the mushroom's already growing. Aren't those poisonous? Didn't they say they were poisonous last week? She's like, what? Hey. Oh. Okay, upper body and lower body. Damn. Uh yeah. Yeah. Mm. Oh. Oh my god, Laios! Oh. Oh. A hippogriff. Oh. 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 What is with Laios and breeding everything? Oh. Oh. I mean, are you saying that to make him feel better? Hmm. I don't think that's what happened, but okay. Right, unless you find one. Let's find out then. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Him with a knife is dangerous. What? Oh. Oh. Changelings? Oh. 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 What? So. Oh. Oh, was a hippogriff. Oh. So, is that going to change them if they eat it? I mean, it looks like the same consistency. Oh. Oh. That's what it tasted like. Oh, sweetheart. Oh. Well, that's a lot better than. Oh, that's a lot better than what it could have been. Wow. To a person's desires. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh. And the winged lion. Oh, that's such a good point. Ooh. His little eyes rimmed with the redness. Aww. Oh, sweetheart. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, no. Or it's from the spores. Oh. Oh, shit. Oh. Oh. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Ah! 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 It's David Tennant! Oh my God, SENSHI! Oh my God, SENSHI! Is that SENSHI? Oh my God, Shilchuk's a tall man. Oh my God. Ah! Effort. Oh my God. Then what? Ah! A kobold with candy. Oh my God. SENSHI. Oh my God. And the voice. Oh shit. Can a Sebi not talk? Oh my God. SENSHI and Marcel's close. Oh my God. Aww. And Marcel and Shilchuk's outfit. Of course, Laios would take it so well. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God. Oh. 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 Ah! SENSHI as the elf! I cannot! I cannot! Oh my God. SENSHI and Shilchuk, I've never shipped them more. And what is Sebi as the kobold? SENSHI. Ah! Goodness! SENSHI is the elf. I can't. I want to hear SENSHI. Oh. Fuck. Okay, good. Oh. Oh my God, Laios is adorable in dwarf form. Oh. Hmm. I love a Sebby's like, no. Right. Oh. Oh my God, Senshi. I love it. I love it. Well. Hmm. Hmm. Oh. Ah! I love that Marcel and Laios become tiny. Oh. Oh, shit. Senshi! What? Oh, bitch. Or I don't know if you should think it yet. I don't know if you should think it yet. No. The fudge! Oh, damn gargoyles! Oh, man. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Chill check. Chill check now. Oh, my God. Yes. Oh, my God. Oh, no. She's not an elf, so... Oh, no. She doesn't have a lot of mana. Crap. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Since she's so useless as an elf. Oh, my God. None of them are in the right bodies. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Well, shit. What now? Marcel. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. Wow. Wow. Mmm. Wow. Oh. Right. Well. Huh. Oh, my God. Okay. Ooh, okay. Ooh, okay. Into a long stick. Are you making dumplings? Oh, yeah, it is a dumpling. Oh. Oh my God, their eyes. Oh my God, there's so many. All right. Aw. The one with hair is gross. No, thank you. Boiled hippogriff dumplings. Oh. I mean, mm. Ah. Aw. I mean, maybe. Laios is like, let me trade with you. Right, yes. Yes. And they all taste delicious. Can't go wrong with dumplings. Aww. No. No, yeah. Oh my god. Oh. Oh, what? Oh. 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 Oh my god. Well, funny about that. Oh god. Why me? Oh. Oh, what? Ah! Oh my god! Yeah, we actually need to find a way to revert back. Yes. Oh my god. That was a long episode. That was a long ass episode. That was almost 30 minutes. What? What, y'all? Oh my gosh. I lost track of time with that episode, and I was looking down, and I was like, 27 minutes? It was like nearly a half an hour for this week. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, that has me really excited for the finale, because I'm like, is the finale going to be half an hour long? Is it going to be an hour long? I was like, if it's half an hour, that'd be amazing. I mean, give me a longer season finale show. I'm not going to complain. But okay. Wow. I mean, if you were going to have one of the episodes be as long as it was, this was the one to do it in, because, I mean, Senshi's backstory, I want to gently hold Senshi. I want to gently hold him, especially his younger self, because, oh my God. Ah, I freaking love Senshi's backstory, and now knowing that he's been scared of this griffin the entire time because he not only thought that the griffin was dangerous, but the fact that if he ate it, he could find out if he actually ate his fellow dwarves or not. I thought that's where we were going. I thought we were getting cannibalism. I thought we were full on going that dark, because this show, I've said it in previous episodes, this show is really good about skirting that line of the darkness and being like, well, and skirting the line, and you just don't know. And then it wouldn't have surprised me. It wouldn't have surprised me if it had been cannibalism and they'd all been killing each other. Like, I wondered it throughout this scene, like the way that this series portrays this backstory, you really wonder, and it really makes you think. Like, Senshi is a precious angel baby. I love that the other dwarves kind of acknowledge that Senshi is not a fighter. He's a lover, not a fighter. And in elf form, he's a major lover. But I love that each of the dwarves have distinct differences in their features. I really liked that. Like, the one has the Disney Snow White and the Seven Dwarves nose. He's like got the Doc nose. The others they all look different, which is really fun. But they ask if he's got iron flowing in his veins. Which, the funny thing is, they all have iron flowing in their veins because they all have blood flowing in their veins. But I feel like Senshi, I like that Briggan is kind of the most empathetic to SENSHI, and he's like, don't push yourself. Like, he seems the most empathetic. Like, maybe Brigand can relate to SENSHI, and Brigand kind of, because Brigand has the helmet that SENSHI ends up taking with him and everything. Brigand seems to be the one that he relates to the most. They could have even been related. They look kind of similar. He's like, I like that this whole impetus of them going into the dungeon was that SENSHI didn't want to be left behind and he was afraid, so he charged into the dungeon. But the truth is, it was like a Hotel California situation. Once they got into the dungeon, they couldn't leave. And I like that they established, again, this series, it does the world building as it goes. And so it's like, oh, by the way, now we've learned that these ancient ruins that these dwarves built, they became a dungeon. It was an ancient city and a relic, but it became a dungeon. It's like the dungeon is a term for it being infected with monsters. And like the lunatic magician taking over has infected the area and made it into a dungeon. Which they talked a little bit about how the elves and the dwarves had a skirmish, which instantly makes me think of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings with J.R.R. Tolkien, because the elves and dwarves, they didn't like each other in that series. But they're very like anti-new technology in the dungeons because they're afraid of the situation getting made worse over time and exacerbating the dungeons just getting more and more uninhabitable. I also like the contrast that they established that the elves and the dwarves are very greedy and very lustful for power and for things. And that's what kind of made the dungeons the way that they are. But they're perfect for the orcs because the orcs don't desire anything. They just want to be. And I kind of love that. I kind of like the idea that the one species that can inhabit the dungeon successfully are the orcs because they don't have any desires. And I was like, that's kind of cool. I kind of love that. I kind of think that's really neat. It's a nice little, we live in such, I'm talking about the US mainly, but it's in many countries across the world. We live in a very consumerist, avarice society that is very greedy and very selfish. And so to see like the karma that the orcs get, like the good karma the orcs get by not being selfish, self-serving, or greedy is kind of fun. I kind of enjoy that. But I also like how the dungeon like has a pull on people. So you have SENSHI, who's terrified and doesn't really want anything. He's kind of like the orcs, which is why he and the orcs kind of get along later. He's like, he doesn't really want anything, so the dungeon doesn't have a hold on him. And then the others, kind of like the glowing of their eyes and everything, and them acting weird, it's their greed pulling them into the dungeon and their desires. And that's when they all started getting taken out one by one by the hippogriff that was showing up and destroying them. At first, as the story was going on and each of them were getting the same slash mark, and we saw the one guy had a pickaxe, I did wonder, as they were going through the dungeon and realized they were trapped, were they killing each other off one by one and eating each other just to like survive in the dungeon? And since she was so innocent and naive that he just didn't know. And honestly, if this show had gone that route, I wouldn't have blamed it and I wouldn't have been like surprised, because I'd be like, no, they've been kind of hinting that they've been ready to go dark for quite a while now, or darker than usual. But no, so it's the hippogriff that stepped in the fairy ring and became a changeling and turned into a griffin, which is interesting. I also like the way that Laios, because he's such a knowledge knower of monsters, was able to determine that the actions the griffin were making were not really lion actions. They were more like a horse. And I'm like, oh, horses. It all makes sense now. I was like, damn, horses have not had it rough in anime. Horses have had it rough in anime. I have not watched one anime where the horses have been unscathed. Nope. I've seen several. I just watched one like 3 weeks ago where the horses were mutilated. So I was like, oh my God, like horses in anime, it's just not a good combo. They're gonna get killed. It's a known fact. It's a known trope. I don't know any good horses in anime that make it out alive. They're all in the gutter. So, but yeah, I wondered if they were using a pickaxe or if it really was a griffin, which ends up being the hippogriff as they go. I was really curious why some of the floor in this one scene where they find the first dwarf ends up dying, why some of the floor was gold and some of it was stone, or if that was just the dungeon revealing itself, or if the dungeon was slowly taking over the space. I thought that was interesting, and they never explain it. So Toten dies. This isn't just some old ruins. It's a dungeon, and they'd lost their way. But yeah, Brigand watches after SENSHI the entire time. Now, SENSHI and Brigand have like the same nose and the same kind of features, like the big bushy eyebrows, even though their hair color is different. I wondered if they were related because the other dwarves do not look like them, but we don't know for sure. So they kept roaming the dungeons. Poor little baby SENSHI. Oh, someone had noted in the Discord that he looks like Steven Universe, and now I can't unsee it, but he does. But he's so precious. He's so cute. And then they stumble across the springs. Some of them are tempted by women, but eventually their food ran out. And then poor Anne the horse. As soon as they said the food ran out, I was like, that horse is going to die. But nope. And then SENSHI was left to map out the area, which I kind of love because it ties back to the last episode where SENSHI was recognizing the runes and everything because he had mapped out before. He kind of knew how to do it. And then what's interesting is SENSHI had made it out of the dungeons, but he kept going back. He kept going back to where the source of his trauma was. And I guess it was to try to get closure or to try to like maybe it was to sustain the dungeon where his fellow dwarves had died in. I don't know. But poor SENSHI, I felt so bad for him. And then his like beard starting to grow out and everything. Now, at the time, SENSHI is my age. SENSHI is 36, which for dwarves are like teenage years, which bless his heart. And then they finally get down to the three of him. And the one dwarf is mad because they say he's useless. And Brigand's like, but no, he's a kid and we take care of the kids. I honestly thought that when he first of all, when he went to grab the rocks, I instantly thought of Grave of the Fireflies. And I was like, don't you dare, show. Don't you dare. That movie's freaking sad. We're not going to Grave of the Fireflies route, but that's where I thought. But I wondered when they went into the other room if they killed each other. And then we saw Brigand, come out there with the big hit in the helmet. And he's like, don't look outside. I took down the griffin, but Brigand died. So this is not him. Yeah, there was a dent in the helmet by a blunt object. He's like, we'll eat the griffin. It was really weird that he wouldn't let SENSHI go and see it, but I guess he didn't want SENSHI to witness it. But then he gave him the soup. Yeah, it had a gamey smell and the meat was tough. But he's like, I ate the soup. I don't know if the one dwarf just made the soup and died after that, and that was like his last act was to make sure that SENSHI got some food. I thought it was interesting that the cleaners cleaned up everything, which was interesting. So he's like, I finally looked outside after I did the pattern. What's interesting is that he stayed there long enough eating the rest of the griffin meat and mapped out and had like the top knot. But then by the time he looked outside, it was just the helmet and the pickaxe and the pot left. So the pot he takes with him. Oh. And then he gets captured by orcs and then communicates with them and figures out that they're actually not too bad. What I love about this series that it's done the entire time that I really admire is not only the different body types that are presented, but as time passes, like SENSHI's hair keeps growing out, his like beard and stuff, which how old SENSHI is, we don't know, but that damn beard's grown out an awful lot. But there's that, and he grows it out just like his fellow dwarf that died, that saved him. But also body types change. So as he gets thinner, you can see like his ribs poking through, but it makes him look even worse because he's a bigger boned person and he should have some meat on him. But it's so interesting the way that they animate it. I love it. So they tell him how to distinguish poison mushrooms. Now look, the mushroom that the orc picks up in that one shot already has feet and is growing feet and has a consciousness. So this has been happening for a while now. I also wonder if one of the orcs that she's like holding ends up being like one of the orcs we see later on. But yeah, since she gets some weight back on him, good job, grows his hair out, and then takes the helmet with him. and ends up, he couldn't go back to his hometown. So he kept staying near the top floors of the dungeon and eventually reconnected with Laios and Marcel and them. What I love about Laios is in this moment, he's like, well, let's just eat the griffin. And everybody, of course, is like, Laios, you are so tone deaf. But Laios is like, no. He's like, if it turns out that it's not, you know, it is a taste you had before, you'll know the truth that it was actually a griffin, or in this case, a hippogriff. And if you don't know, well, that sucks, but at least you'll have closure. It's like, there is a part, Laios is so blunt that everybody's kind of like, but you shouldn't do that, Laios. And he's like, look, it's not going to plague him anymore. And Childrake's like, I actually think it'll make it worse if he knows. But then when he first eats the soup, and I love that they're all like, you just want to eat it. You just want to eat it. It's not a carnivore for nothing. I do love also that when they show the meat, that the meat of it doesn't have any marbling. And then when he changes it to the hippogriff, it has marbling. So marbling is like the fat in the meat. I've talked about it in the cooking segments, but you do want a little bit of marbling because otherwise it is gamey. And the marbling comes from fat. And if it is gamey, it's going to taste tough and gross. Like I've had duck before and it was tough and gross and I didn't like it. My dad has hunted deer before and we've had venison and it's gamey and tough and kind of has like a tang to it. And it's like, but I just like the fact that Laios cooks for SENSHI this time. He's trying to figure out how the blunt object mark came from the helmet. And they talk about that there's also like basilisks, cockatrices, harpies, sirens, but there's also ones we haven't met before, such as the Pegasus and the rock, which is the big chicken, and the simurgh. I love the simurgh, looks a wolf bird. He's like, should we find any of those animals? And they're like, Laios, back to reality, my friend. So yeah, so the fairy ring, which is the mushrooms in a circle there, I always think of the fairy rings, they're like an omen. They're usually around like dead tree stumps and stuff. I like the fact that they allow people and things to change species. That's so freaking cool. I guess they have to step back in the fairy ring to change back, which we only have one episode left next week before the finale of season 1. So I'm like, are they going to change back before the finale, or what are we going to do? Are the elves going to show up and change them back, or are the elves going to show up and keep them the same because they're easier to manage that way? I don't like where this is headed, so I'm a little bit nervous next week. But yeah, we have the upper and lower bodies, and we have the hippogriff soup, which honestly, the hippogriff soup, I don't know if I would make it because it just looks like broth and like pork fat. No, probably not. Probably not going to have that. I do love Marcel's face whenever SENSHI tastes the soup originally and thinks that it's different and thinks that he ate his fellow dwarf. She looks very, very sad there for him. They all look kind of sad. And he's like, I'll just have to live with it because a weight's been lifted. Gillen was the redhead. So Gillen was the redhead. Briggan was the one that was angry with him. I love that they get onto Laios for like, what have you done? And he's like, because SENSHI sits there and goes, well, you know, he did it to keep me alive, so I'll just have to keep on trying to live up to his expectations. And Marcel and Chilchek are like, how dare you, Laios, cause this to happen? And he's like, hey, maybe it was actually a hippogriff and not a griffin, and that there are differences. And he's like, because I think Laios brought up a really good point. He's like, if it had been a legit griffin, why wouldn't it have come after Anne the horse first right off the bat? Because griffins like horses. So that would have been the first thing they attacked. But then when he's like, or it could have been a hippogriff that was changed into a griffin. So in that case, it was just trying to like mate with the horse. Laios keeps going back to breeding with animals. Like his agenda cannot stop going back to stuff that's sexual, which is hilarious because Laios is like the least sexual character in the show. So it's like, I find some relation to Laios. It's like, I read a lot of yaoi, but have no desire for it in real life. And so I kind of relate to Laios. So maybe that's why I like him so much. But it's just really funny that he's obsessed with like monsters breeding when like he's the least sexual cast member in this party. Anyway, not the least sexy, but the least sexual. So Also, I think that's kind of a cool thing to note about the changeling feature is that Laios kind of points out, even though the hippogriff was changed into a griffin, at its heart, it was still a hippogriff. So it still wanted these things, even though its appearance was different. I don't know what that means about fluidity or if that's trying to make a statement about anything like that. I'm not sure, but I think it's interesting because later Laios is like, even though I'm in the body of a dwarf, even though we'll talk about Senshi as the elf. Oh my God. Even though Marcel's in the body of a half foot, we are still ourselves, even if our appearances are different. And maybe, I don't know if it's trying to make a statement about being trans. I feel like you could kind of make that argument a little bit. Maybe it's trying to make a statement about that by Laios saying, like, just because our bodies look somewhat different, it doesn't change who we are inside. If it's trying to make a blanket statement about that, you could interpret it as that, I suppose. I don't think that the mangaka is intentionally meaning that, but I think you could, if you wanted to get that interpretation out of it, you could. So I kind of like that. I think it's interesting. And the kick from a hippogriff would put a considerable hole in there. And so they change up the meat to say that, like, we have it right here. Because the presence of an accomplice has complicated things. There's a moment where Laios has a knife in his hand. He's just like, and it's the most hilarious thing I've seen of Laios, because it's like, the last thing we need is Laios with a knife. With Kensuke can at least stand up for himself, but Laios with a knife is slightly dangerous. So yeah, they talk about the idea of children going to play in the woods and coming home as a different species because they got into the magic ring. So it caused a change to happen within them. So it makes sense why the griffin sees Senshi, but it didn't eat him. What they were actually fighting was a hippogriff. And so it changes the meat, and then he fixes it into soup. Even the soup looks the same as it did before. And then when he tastes it, he realizes that it was the same. I love that. I wanted to taste the soup again for a long time. And I love that it shows the 5 dwarves that are with him. And now there's the 4 others. 5 if we count Fallon when we find her. But yeah, I love that. That was so sweet. Also, I love Chilchuck with his hand on Senshi's hand on his leg. There was so much Chilchuck and Senshi shipping in this episode. Oh, I was just living for it. Chilchuck can get it. I kind of would ship him with a Sebi. You could ship him with Laios. I don't quite ship him with Marcel, but I only ship Marcel with Fallon, so we'll just leave it at that. But yeah. And so then they go, I like the little detail of Senshi with his little eyes red from crying. It's really sweet. So yeah, I like Senshi saying, look, the more you desire, the more the dungeon's going to draw you in, which makes sense because the lunatic magician has a massive desire to see Delgal. So it only makes sense that desire is amplified, and so thus the desires of others are amplified. The dungeon is feeding off of it. It all makes sense. But yeah, he's like, you're aiming to rescue Fallon, but you're also searching for the magician. So the response from the dungeon is gonna be severe. He's like, but you all have helped me gain closure, so will you take me with you? And I was like, that's really sweet. And then, yeah, they all take off, but they stepped in the middle. Like, why you stepped in the middle of that ring of mushrooms and didn't go? Why? The only thing about this episode that I was like, what are y'all doing? Is why did you step in the ring when you just turned a piece of meat into something else, knowing that ring did that? What are you all doing? And then they wake up and they've been changed. Now, Laios, being thick dwarf Laios now, which he looks great. Marcel looks absolutely adorable as the half-foot. Senshi as the elf looks like a character out of Revolutionary Girl Utena. I'm sorry. I cannot. Oh my God. He looks like damn Toji. Looks like Toga. Looks like Toga from Revolutionary Girl Utena, kind of. Oh my God. But Senshi as the elf, I cannot. I'm surprised they weren't all gawking at Senshi as the elf, but Chilchuck kind of was, which was really funny. But oh my God, Senshi as the elf being like, I guess I'll just have to do something. I'm like, no, Senshi. And then Chilchuck as a tall man, is just David Tennant. He's just David Tennant. I can't. Oh my God. I love that SENSHI is like instantly becomes like an elf and just completely enamored with oneself. Marcel is just like, oh my God, I'm a half foot. David Tennant looks down and is like, well, that's proportionate. And then Laios is like, I love Chilchuck looking down his penis under the sheet. That's great. And SENSHI is just like ethereal. Oh my God. Can SENSHI use magic now? Probably not. SENSHI as the elf, oh my God, is just the fan service. I love that they make SENSHI the center of fan service every time. I just love it. This was SENSHI's episode. God, I loved it so much. And Marcel being a half foot. And then it's Suzumi is a kobold. The eyes. Why? Okay. It's Suzumi as the kobold. Looks like a character off of Rocko's Modern Life. Or Hey Arnold. Looks like something from a 90s Nickelodeon show. I cannot. I just love Chilchuck's like, oh God, this is inconvenient. I love it. I love that what's kind of cool about it is that despite them changing species, their reactions are not quite what I imagined. Like Marcel and Laios don't freak out at being a half foot and a dwarf. And plus they're both turned into shorter species because the two of them work so well off of each other. But they don't react like with any disdain. They're just like, oh, cool. Laios is all about it until he realizes that it makes him more hungry and he's not as suitable with stamina. Then that's a problem. Kabru is going to have none of this Laios and no stamina. And Marcel's only downfall with being a half foot is that her mana is like, which explains probably why, Chilchuck's never learned any magic. They probably just don't have any, mana stamina at all. But oddly enough, they don't complain about it. Suzumi does not seem to bother being a kobold, although their natural animal instincts are kind of like on high, affected by it. SENSHI is the most what you would expect from transforming into an elf because they're just like, yes, but they're not like vocalizing it, but you can tell they're just like ethereal now. And then honestly, I was expecting, Chilchuck to have like a power trip from becoming a tall man, but he kind of doesn't like it. He's kind of like, oh, my peripheral and senses aren't like what they used to be. I can just, look down upon you. That's like the only thing. SENSHI with Marcel's clothes on, just with the sparkles around them. God, I can't. God, I cannot. Also, I love Marcel with Chilchuck's outfit. It's adorable. I want someone that's super short to cosplay as Marcel as a half foot. I need that. I want to see a SENSHI elf cosplay as well. Dear God, amazing. And then, Laios is he's like, I can see well in the dark. I'm going to take advantage of this. I can arm wrestle Namari. Like he's going to see her anytime soon. But yeah, he's like, how's your body, Chilchuck? And Chilchuck's like, well, I kind of don't like it. He's like, I feel white and lame. I feel like Weird Al Yankovic is White and Nerdy playing. Also, Marcel as a half foot and Laios as a dwarf, like they just seem like they are little kid versions of themselves, which is great. I also love just SENSHI gliding across the ravine, just like Princess Peach floating in Super Mario Brothers 2. And then Chilchuck tossing Marcel. That's why I can't ship Chilchuck and Marcel, because him tossing her is the funniest damn thing. It's like karma. He's like getting karma against Marcel. Oh my God. So what's interesting is they get back to the door that they didn't want to go through. Somebody has made camp there. I don't like that. I don't like somebody making camp there. I don't like what that entails. That seems suspicious. I don't like it. Is it Kabru? Is it someone else? I don't know. But Kensuke having the reaction to the door is super interesting. I don't know why Kensuke has the reaction to the door, except for the magic there. But if Kensuke is all about helping them, why not? And so Laios is like, well, we don't need to waste time waiting for the dungeon to release us. So instead, why don't we just keep looking like this and go with that, right? That seems like it'll work. And I love that Chilchuck and them are like, we could go back to the surface and find a solution. He's like, yeah, but that's a big waste of time. And I love how Chilchuck and Asebi are now like, oh, well, because you're a dwarf, they can live longer. Now you're going to get all cocky about this. I love it. I love it. Now we see, what was that from Monty Python? I'm trying to think of the peasants. They're like the evil inherent in the system. Yeah. And then Senshi's of no use. Senshi is an elf. We need Senshi to go back to being a dwarf because Senshi is an elf. He's too hot. He has too much power. He's like a pretty person that doesn't have to do anything. We're like, we got to go on. We got to move. So yeah, and of course, I think what's interesting is that Laios asks Chilchuck if they can get inside the door, and Chilchuck's like, well, I don't really, like, are Chilchuck's tools going to work as effectively since he's not a half-foot anymore? Will he be as nimble with them? And Marcel doesn't have as much mana because she's a half-foot, so what do we do about that? And so then Kinsuke helps them to open up the door, but then the gargoyles show up. I love that we got gargoyles in this episode. Now, obviously, we can't eat gargoyles. That's not going to work. I was really, when they started to thank the lion or Yod, I was like, I don't know if I would be thinking either of those because I don't think that either of them are responsible, but y'all do you. But yeah, the gargoyles are actually kind of a terrifying foe because you can't really slice them. You just kind of have to blow them up. But Marcel's only really able to blow up like one. And then, of course, she gets the mana sickness. Asebi starts to react as the kobold, which is bad. Laios, who's like knows all about the monsters, uses the bell and stuff to stop them. And they're like, Senshi, why aren't you holding anything? And he's like, because it's too heavy. He's useless. It's like, oh no, we've got to turn back. This is not good. God, why is Senshi the best character? Objectively, I mean, personally, I think Laios is my favorite, but objectively, is Senshi the best character? In the show, he might be. He might be. So, Laios takes advantage of his strength, uses the pot and Kinsuke, but he doesn't have a lot of stamina, and this body's not very suited for long-term fighting. And so he uses the bell, throws it in, gets the lid to Chilchuck, and they all race inside and shut the door. And then they figure out, they're like, this body's inconvenient. I love Marcel just like a hot dog on the ground. That part's hilarious. I freaking love it. So, like, we need to find some fairy ring mushrooms, but I don't know where they're going to find those anytime soon, especially in this very industrialized part of this room, which is interesting. A genuine dwarf relic. Okay. Do the mushrooms grow around here as well? That's the question. So I said maybe we should start cooking. So I love that Laios establishes that Senshi's probably eats a lot because dwarves are super hungry all the time. And then, but Chilchuck says, I've never seen Namari cook. So Chilchuck's like, can we honestly say that's the same? I love that. I love that. I love when Senshi goes, he's like, cooking is perfect for self-reflection, but he just goes, like just the way he does the elf movements. Oh my God. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. Cannot get over it. So now the dumplings, the way that they make the dumplings, and I like the small attention to details where Laios' hands look like thicker, like the dwarf hands and everything. I think we could make dumplings. We're not going to make it for this week, obviously, but you know, we might make dumplings for a leftover special this month. I think we could do eggs Benedict and maybe the dumplings because it's just meat. And then they chopped up, like they had the meat, they had the bread dough. You needed the water and the flour and you let it rise. And then you combine onions and other vegetables with the minced meat. So we could do that. That would be fine. And then they put that and mix it all together and put it in the center of the dumpling. And then they just cook the dumpling. Now, I like that Chilchuck said they fried theirs. He's like, well, we fried, but you could like boil them or steam them. I love Senshi as the elf making the most dainty, beautiful little dumpling. And then I would not have had Asebi's because theirs had hair all over it. And I'm like, no. Also, the fact, I love when they have like the dorky like faces while they're cooking. It's really funny. I'm sure it's straight out of the manga. But them working the silence, helping to calm them down. So yeah, the boiled hippogriff dumplings. We can make that. Yeah. And Chilchuck's like, well, usually we fry these dumplings. Okay. Which is super cute. I love that since she's like holding the dumpling in like the most delicate way possible. My thing is, if the elves show up, right? If the elves show up, I like that Marcel's like, does the taste vary per species? Now Laios immediately is like, oh, I don't think that anyone would find this tasty. Or he says, I think anyone would find this tasty. I feel like Laios at that point is like, he doesn't want to admit that Marcel might be right. And he's like, well, wait a minute. Do I need to become all the different species to taste everything? But no, I think that Laios is, talking about, although Chilchuk did notice about the sensories between the half-foot and the tall men. So maybe there is a difference there. I don't know. He's like, even though some of things have changed, we're still ourselves and we'll make it work. And Chilchuk's like, I also think that's a way of Laios to kind of talk about, when they find Fallon, Fallon's outside may have changed with her turning into a giant chimera, but inside she'll be the same. I think that's another way of Laios trying to justify that. And Chilchuk and the others like, is it? So yeah. So then they give us some lore where they say it's a defensive stronghold built by the dwarves, right? And like defensive, it's like from when the dwarves and the elves were at war. So I wonder if the winged lion is hidden in this portion. And Marcel's like, well, didn't you learn about it in school? They competed to develop more and more advanced technology, and that led to catastrophe. What? You mean two civilizations trying to outdo each other and who can make the most advanced technology and it going awry? That's never happened. That's never happened in history. But yeah, I like that Marcel's like, well, didn't they teach you this? They taught me this in elf school. And Laios is like, well, my system of education is a wee bit different. Elves and dwarves are afraid of history repeating itself. And so they are very prickly about technology in the dungeon. But this dungeon in particular is where many cultures intersect. So I imagine we're going to have a lot of conflicts when the elves step in. Yeah, Marcel's kind of like, usually the elves and the dwarves, they don't want technology in the dungeon. They like to keep things as simplistic as possible to avoid, conflicts as there were in the past. And she's like, there's a lot of different species in this dungeon. There's probably a giant melting pot that's going to be a big old hot mess when the Western elves show up. Not that they're already here or anything. And that's when Chilchuk says about that. If we run into trouble, can't you do something about it? Because she's like, why me? And he says, well, you said your mom worked at the court. So we get some lore dropped. Marcel has her mom worked on the court. So that's an interesting twist. I'm like, is Marcel's mom one of the elves that has shown up to wreak havoc here? One of the canaries? I don't know. Are the canaries going to recognize Marcel and know who she is? I don't know. Are the elves going to see SENSHI and think he's instantly beautiful? I don't know. So Chilchuk's worried though, because he knows that they're not all at 100% and this could end very poorly. And Laios is like, now. He's like, Chilchuk, don't take advantage of Marcel. She's a half-foot now. You're a lot bigger than her. So if anyone's going to negotiate with the elves, it's SENSHI. And SENSHI's... I would cosplay as elf SENSHI in a heartbeat. Oh my God. Yeah, he's like, I'll do what I can. And they're all like, maybe we should keep searching for a way to revert back. I don't know. SENSHI might have an advantage. Since she's very attractive now, sunshine and roses, since she might be able to work this out. Oh my God. I can't, y'all. I cannot. That is the funniest damn thing. So then the episode just ends there. I feel like they might have split this last episode into 2 parts just for the sake of splitting it. But oh my God, I'm glad I don't have to wait for episode 24. I'm going to wait for the comments. I'm going to wait to hear the comments. But after that, this was such a good episode. The lore, the SENSHI backstory, the changelings, just them all looking different. Oh my God. And then the body type. I love this series exploring different body types, exploring changes in bodies and showing different perspectives and how that's affected. And you know what? You would think that if there was any social experiment to make someone empathize with another species or another group of people, it would be to do a changeling. Like, honestly, this experiment is like this, having the changeling mushrooms change their race essentially and their chemical makeup is literally putting them in the shoes of another species and literally making them, you know, walk a mile in someone else's shoes. So you would think that what this is going to do by the end of it is just bring them all closer because they'll understand each other better. I think that's pretty great. I wonder if they go back to the mushrooms, is it going to be like, it makes me think of like a Scooby-Doo episode where they go back and they step in the mushroom and and Laios becomes an elf. Laios as an elf is too much power. Too much power. No. And what if like Chilchuk becomes a kobold or a cat, and then a Sebi becomes like a dwarf or something? Like, I want to see them all go through all the motions. I want to see every version. Now I want to see every version of them. I want to see Senshi as a tall man. I want to see Senshi as a half foot. I want to see Marcel as a kobold or a cat woman. I want to see all versions of them. I need to see that. I hope we get that. I want them to just keep going back and forth and getting sick, and it takes them like a week to change back. Can we get that? I don't know. Maybe we'll get that next week. I cannot believe that next week is the season finale. Thank you all so much for following me along with this series. I cannot believe that we're here. But next week, I will definitely be looking at episode 24. And then for the rest of May and maybe even in June, there's at least 2 videos I want to do for leftovers. I want to make Eggs Benedict from, I think it was episode 21. And I want to make the dumplings from this episode. So those are at least 2 things that we have to look forward to. So we'll get to those hopefully later in May and get to make those. That'll be fun. But in the meantime, I'm excited. I hope you all are as well, but I can't wait to hear your thoughts down below. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with the season 1 finale of Delicious in Dungeon. Bye!